day. I prayed soon as I woke. Never thought I'd be the victim of a paralyzing stroke. Could be you. I woke up at 5:20 just to start my day to day. On this morning I'm feeling different, damn, feeling some kind of way. I got my coffee, then got my daughter ready, headed out the door. Things seemed a little different, I got a headache, damn, for sure. So I'm off to the babysitter, Miss Mimi is the bomb. As I'm leaving, she was asking, was there something going on?
What's up, everybody? How you guys doing today? Thank you for joining us for another episode of Death Taught Us How to Live. This is episode 607 for our sixth season, episode number 7. So thank you so much wherever you are watching from, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or Stroke Warrior Radio. I really appreciate you guys so much. And also, I'd like to give a round of applause to Mr. Doja for our introduction song. He's a stroke survivor as well, and he blessed us with that great introduction, Just Another Day. But we're not talking about stroke survivors today. This is going to be a little bit different. It's still talking about Death Taught Us How to Live, but we have changed it from the stroke survivor community to people that have tumors, actually a brain tumor, and how life was actually living after you have a brain tumor. So without any further ado, I want to bring my friend on the show. His name is Eric. He was supposed to be on last year, but we had some technical difficulties. He's on today. Eric Galvez is our guest for today, and let's bring him on the show. So please welcome him. Eric, how you doing, sir?
Hey, man. How are you doing?
I'm blessed, sir. I didn't hear you.
I'm glad to finally make it on here. So
Yeah, man. You know, it will happen. You know, if it was meant to be, it was meant to be.
Yep.
So without any further ado, let me just get who you are, why you on Death Taught Us How to Live, and just give us a 5-minute synopsis about that unfaithful day when you found out your tumor that was inside your brain and what happened after that. So the floor is yours, sir. Go ahead.
All right. Well, yeah. My name is Eric Galvez. I've got a pretty unique story. Like, I was actually a doctor of physical therapy. I graduated from a physical therapy school in 2003, moved to San Diego, California. And then I was diagnosed 2 years later in 2005. I was diagnosed with a golf ball sized brain tumor between the cerebellum and the brainstem. So that's a very dangerous area to have a tumor. So I was working in outpatient orthopedics. So I actually treated a couple oncology or cancer patients. So it was kind of strange. But I actually ended up having surgery and rehab where I used to work. So a lot of my medical team were my former colleagues. So the physical therapist, occupational therapist, speech therapist, and even the doctor that treated me, I knew pretty well. Like, these were people I would go to lunch with or go to happy hours with, and now they were taking care of me. So it was a very, very strange situation. I ended up, like I said, having surgery at the place where I used to work, but I actually ended up doing rehab there as well. I was after my surgery, I was in the ICU for I think 8 days. I was in a coma for, I believe, seven of those days. I honestly don't remember, but after that, I had to go on to rehab, and again, I was with my former coworkers, my former colleagues, who were treating me, and I was there for about a month. And then after that, I got discharged to my apartment in San Diego, and I had to do outpatient physical therapy as well. And again, my colleagues were my therapists. So again, I was in a very strange situation. But after while I was going through everything, I don't know if blogging is still a thing, but I was keeping a blog to keep track of everything that was going on. And I actually turned that blog into a book, which I ended up publishing, I think initially 5 months after I was going through everything. But yeah, what was really cool was I got my friends, my family, and my therapist to write chapters in the book about their experiences having someone they know undergo a brain tumor diagnosis and treatment. So yeah, it was called the book was called Reversal, when a therapist becomes a patient. And basically, it was called I called it Reversal because I was actually a state champ in wrestling at the University of, or actually back in high school. So a reversal is where you turn the tables and take control of your opponent. And in this case, it was a brain tumor. So yeah, I've done a lot of cool things since my diagnosis. It's been over 20 years, so it's been a while. Like I've written two books. I've spoken internationally. I've gone to different conferences and spoken at them. And then yeah, once COVID once COVID came around, I had to dissolve the nonprofit. So I ended up starting a new nonprofit.
Yeah, hold on, Eric. I just wanted to know what happened to you that day, man. You giving me your whole story without me even asking you questions, sir.
Yeah.
Let me walk you through this. But this is pretty interesting because I want to go back to that particular part that you was talking about. You was in therapy, but you was actually being helped by other people that were your colleagues. Now, I don't know how people understand that. Like you said, it was weird. I want to go back to that particular point. Did you have issues saying that, well, you're supposed to do it like this and you not treated me the way that I'm supposed to be treated because you're supposed to do this particular exercise? Was you a pain in the butt, or was you a person that just went with the flow and everybody was able to deal with you? How was that particular journey, sir?
See, that was the thing. Since I had surgery and treatment where I used to work, so I knew who the good therapists were. So I didn't really question their decision making and whatnot. I completely trusted them. But I went to the most senior therapist, and yeah, I felt very comfortable over there. But it was a honestly, it was probably the scariest time in my life.
So did they remove the tumor or is it still
They
in your
got,
head?
I believe they said they got 90% of it, but I've been unsymptomatic for, gosh, probably about 18 years now. So I think I'm in the clear.
Do you have any deficits?
Oh yeah, yeah. Definitely got some facial numbness, and the whole left side of my body is numb. Like I have what's called ataxia on the left side. Do you know what ataxia is?
I do, but please explain it.
Oh yeah, it's basically where you can't really control the movements of your body. It's like things get all out of control, and like I can't really. I mean, it's improved some, but I can't really eat out of my left hand. And then I've got what's called intention tremor on the right hand, and basically that means anytime I go to touch something, my hand starts to shake. So I've got a lot of different impairments. That on top of that, I've got balance and coordination problems as well.
So, with all this being said, are those people your colleagues, are they still your friends, or did you move away from them?
Oh no, I'm that like at the time Facebook was the big thing. So like
Mhm.
I'm Facebook friends with like all of my former coworkers and therapists. So I still keep in touch with them.
So, I'm curious to know that who were you before your diagnosis, and has that person changed since? Because as stroke survivors, we notice that our life has completely changed. We things that we used to want to do is irrelevant now. Do people that have brain tumors, do they feel the same type of way?
Well, well, for me personally, like I feel like I have a different perspective on things now. Like I'm definitely more empathetic with everyone undergoing some sort of obstacle. Like I do find myself more more in touch with people. I think a lot of brain tumor survivors are the same way. Like we definitely seek that connection with individuals who are similar to us. Like I mean, yeah, that was the biggest thing for me because at the time, way back in 2006, I couldn't find anyone that was even similar to me. Like most of the brain tumor survivors that I knew were in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. And I wasn't really able to connect with a lot of young brain tumor survivors. So what I ended up doing was just connecting into the young adult cancer survivor community, and I've made a ton of friends through that.
Okay, switching topics a little bit, but it's still in the same vein. Do you get frustrated with people when you know what you're talking about and they don't understand what you're trying to accomplish? And how do
Uh,
you handle it?
well, I mean that's the thing. I do have to repeat myself multiple times because like, I do understand that I am kind of difficult to comprehend at times. So like when people don't understand me, I I don't really get frustrated. I just feel like I just have to enunciate a little bit more. I definitely have to be more wary that I have difficulty communicating, but it's gotten a lot better because like before my voice was horrible. I'll have to show you a video sometime, but yeah yeah the communication barriers was a big thing at the time.
But how did you deal with that? So, we have people that's watching, they're probably going through that right now. They're having problem communicating with people. They might have aphasia or any of those multiple ways of not being able to speak properly. And they don't know how to check their emotions. They get frustrated and might get high blood pressure or even have a stroke. What did you do at those particular moments to calm yourself down and understand that people are not being mean, they just don't understand?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I've found that writing things down, whether it's just simple communication like writing out signs or something like that, eh, I'm the kind of guy that has the mind going like 100 miles an hour. So I personally have found that you know putting things down on paper or typing things out helps me to kind of like filter what I'm saying, I guess. So like, I've definitely found that writing is a great way to communicate.
Do you have any children? Are you married?
No, no. Yeah,
Okay.
I was let's just say I was having fun when I was before I was diagnosed, and now I'm kind of a little bit more serious now. So I'm very
Okay.
focused on what I'm doing now.
And what are you doing now, sir?
Well, like I mentioned before, I dissolved the old nonprofit. It was called Mass Kickers Foundation, and we de-emphasized the mass, so we were ass kickers. And then, like, what I'm doing now is I started a new nonprofit focusing on physical activity for people with disabilities and promoting the benefits of physical activity and exercise to people with physical disabilities. I don't think people really understand that, being physically active doesn't mean going to the gym. It could be just going for a walk or just getting out and moving. I think a lot of people don't do enough. I think a lot of people are sitting on the couch and just
Are you saying that as a therapist or are you saying that as a survivor?
a little bit of both. Because like I think you know movement is medicine is what a lot of physical therapists will say, and
Right.
that's one thing I think that stroke survivors or brain tumor survivors or cancer survivors, they really have to take that to heart.
So that's pretty interesting because I for myself, I get a lot of people that don't want to do anything. Like you said, movement is movement, that's exercising. A lot of people say, well, I'm stuck to this wheelchair, I'm stuck to this bed. I don't want to do anything at all, but they don't realize that they actually be more detrimental to their life than anything else. What do you say about that?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like I said, movement is medicine. I mean, it doesn't have to be going out and walking. a 5K. It could be just like, getting up and walking in your house, like, a few times a day or something. I mean, it doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be that complicated. I think people just realize that, uh, you say the word exercise and people get, very intimidated by it. But I think, physical activity is the more correct term. So like I think there is a push, at least in the survivorship community, that physical activity is more used than exercise. So I think that's the right way to go. It's just rebranding. A new way to affect your health. Physical activity.
Okay, I get that. I get that. I get that. So let's stay in that particular vein. Now, with those people that don't understand that and they say, well, I need to go to the gym, that's exercise, and not necessarily moving their arms or moving their lips or moving their pinkies or whatever. A lot of them are depressed and they don't want to do anything at all. What advice do you have for them to say those little movements mean something, and more of that psychological problems they have up here? They need to work on that so they can actually move their limbs or whatever they have deficits with.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I think with physical activity, it's better if you have a partner, like a partner in crime. Like I think just going through something by yourself is very difficult. So it's better if you do it in a group of two or a group of three. Just so you can kind of share the experience. I think um, we can turn physical activity more into more of a social occurrence or a social event, and I think that that'll benefit a lot of people.
That makes sense. But some of us don't have anybody to deal with. We're completely alone. Like when this happened to me, I was alone, and I found some people on social media, and that helped me out. But like you say, when you first started, it was just Facebook. There wasn't a lot of people out there. So what else besides finding other people? What else is that thing that we need to do within ourselves to love ourselves, to move forward? Do you have any advice on that?
Well, for me, I'm kind of a nerd, so like I used to do a lot of reading. Unfortunately, I don't have as much time as I used to, but like yeah, reading books or reading things online, that's probably the best way my best piece of advice for people is just to educate yourself. I think that the internet is great, but there's a lot of bad information out there as well as a lot of good information. Like, I mean, it's best to consult like a medical professional or whatnot when you're going through everything. I mean, uh, Doctor Google is great, but like people really need to talk to a licensed healthcare professional to to find the right resources and and to verify or completely shoot down what they find on the internet.
I get that. I get that. I get what you're saying. I see something on your shirt. I don't know. Michigan. I see that part, but something in red and white. What is that all about?
Yeah, that's the new nonprofit that I started. It's the Disability Gorillas, and I chose the term gorilla, which is Guerrilla, as in the freedom fighters. Because I really think we need to attack physical disabilities in a different way. And I think with the guerrilla warfare, it's basically just approaching something differently and strategically attacking a specific thing. So I really, that's why I really, yeah, the logo here is a picture of a gorilla, like a primate in a wheelchair, in a racing wheelchair. So wanted to, I kind of wanted to, emphasize that, that we're not just, helpless patients. We're advocates that are going on the attack, and we're attacking everything with exercise and physical activity.
I think that is the most important part of of your nonprofit to emphasize that even though you're in a wheelchair, doesn't mean that you're not a warrior, a strong warrior, and you're a viable piece of society. I think a
Yeah.
lot of us don't understand that part. So, is this only for people that had brain
Oh no.
troubles, or is it anybody that actually have any type of disabilities that could be part of your organization? What does your organization do for these people?
Yeah, basically, our whole thing is we want to educate people about the benefits of physical activity. For especially for people with physical disabilities. Like, a lot of I've met a lot of amputees and a lot of spinal cord injury people that could truly benefit from physical activity.
Oh, okay. And how's the reception of that, knowing that where you have and versus what they have? Do they see like themselves as in a different arena, or do they all feel like there's one open family and everybody is welcome? How do they actually perceive it?
Well, it's still early on, but I'd like to think that everyone feels welcome. And my vision was that this would just be an all inclusive. Like, it's not just for brain tumors, it's not just for cancer patients, it's not just for amputees, it's for everyone. So, like, I think, I don't think that has been stressed enough from what I've seen so far. A lot of the organizations focus on, like, spinal cord injuries or whatnot, but this is all inclusive. But brain tumor survivors, or even AVM people with physical disabilities. So yeah, it's all inclusive.
Eric, I have a very interesting question. I want to know your perspective on this. As you said, yours is about 20 years out, mine is about 8 years out. A lot of people that are freshly into, I don't know the term I want to use, but freshly into the disabled world, they think that their disability is different than everybody else, and it might be, but I think they don't understand that the mental side of it is pretty much the same, and we're all in the same type of struggle. We're trying to help each other out. What do you say to those people that are just finding out they have this diagnosis or just becoming disabled and they feel like the world is over and they don't think that you are relatable? How do you portray to them that this is for them?
Well, that's the thing. Uh, Especially for me, from my experiences, like, you're not going to find anyone that's exactly like you. Like, you may find people that are similar to you in terms of the diagnosis and the impairments, but yeah, I think that's enough to build a bond with somebody. Like, I really think, making that connection with other people is extremely important. And for me, I found it in the young adult cancer survivor community, because I didn't know too many young brain tumor survivors at the time when I was going through everything.
Yeah, I get it. I get it because because with me, I have AVM. That's a very rare condition. Only 1% of the world population has it. But then I realized, I even though it's rare, I barely talk to AVM survivors. I talk to a lot of people that have brain injuries,
Yeah,
and it seems like we are very similar in our thought process. Like I used to say a lot, I don't know any other condition, and now I'm learning that there is another condition that after it's gone, it still affects you. And it seems like you are showing me you're living proof that your brain tumor is gone, but it still affects you. Now, how do you deal with that and explaining it to people that, yeah, this was 20 years ago, but it still affects me to this day, even though they might see some of the deficits, maybe they don't understand that some of your cognitive skills or some of your communication skills are still off, and they don't know how to deal with you, especially when you get irate. How do you explain that to them?
well, I mean, that's the thing. Uh, Brain tumors in particular. I mean, it's still considered cancer or oncology, but yeah, I think since my a lot of my impairments are very visual, you can tell that there's something going on. So, like, I never felt like I really had to explain myself. So it's like I think you take a look at me and you can see my wheelchair, or you see me trying to eat something. You can tell I definitely have some sort of impairment. Uh, Honestly, it's kind of hard to it's kind of hard not to see. So I didn't really have an issue with that.
So how do you talk to people that do have invisible disabilities and have them explain to people around them and they get frustrated because they don't understand how to talk with them? Do you ever find people in your organization, even though it's new, do you find people in your organization that have those type of issues, and what kind of solutions do you give them?
You know, to be honest with you, like I haven't dealt with that a whole lot because at first most of the brain tumor survivors that I met do have very very noticeable physical impairments, and I didn't really have to deal with a whole lot of emotional or even invisible disabilities. So like I honestly don't have a lot of experience with that.
Okay, fair enough. You will soon, trust me. And it's a very weird world that we live in, because a lot of people judge with their eyes instead of with their hearts and understanding. Um, Now, do you do any work therapy wise still, or that is completely the old Eric, or do you still live and dabble in that particular arena?
Uh, that's the thing. I'm my own physical therapist, so I don't really treat patients, but I do give advice to some people, especially my friends that do remember that I am a PT. Like, yeah, my friend actually recently hurt his back, so first person he talked to about everything about the rehab process was me, and of course, like I haven't practiced in like 20 years, so I just like to mess with them. So but yeah, I don't formally work as in physical therapy anymore, but yeah, I'm still quite knowledgeable.
Okay, okay. So what I'm gathering is that you don't really get resistance from people because they know who you are. They trust your word. Um, do you ever have any problems with memory issues?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I actually tried going back to school about gosh, about 3 years ago. Like I actually started a PhD program in at the University of Texas uh, in Houston, and like I quickly found out that like the academic world is definitely different from the survivor world because they're very focused on results, and you can't lollygag and take your time with things in an academic setting. And my short-term memory impairments was the biggest surprise to me because like I unconsciously was uh, addressing those impairments in everyday life. Like I would take things down, but if I were to take like a pop quiz or whatever, there's no way that I could that I would do well on it. I definitely found the academic setting very difficult. After the brain surgery.
So, Eric, let me ask you, how do you juggle that? How do you juggle saying, well, I know my limitations, I can't go any further, versus I need to go further? How do you juggle that and honestly give yourself that understanding that I can't get mad at myself because this is my limitations? How do you deal with that?
Well, I mean, for me, like I definitely know my limitations are, but just finding them was the most difficult because it was very frustrating, and I like to stay physically active, so I do like a set of 30 push-ups if I was feeling frustrated, and that was one way that I could let out some of my frustration. But for me, exercise was always a way to deal with things. Like I'm like your typical guy. I don't like talking about my feelings and whatnot. So I found that translating that into physical activity, that definitely helped for me at least.
Okay, I get that. So you keep active, you live your life and you know your limitations, and it doesn't really bother you when your limitations come up. Okay. Do you journal?
I used to. I did have a blog, but now I'm finding that the video blogging or vlogging is very helpful for me. And I do have a core group of people that I do vent to, so that's kind of nice also. But yeah, I don't really, go out there and express my feelings to everyone. So
And why not? Do you feel like that is like, never mind. I want to go into that because we're not doing a therapy session. But what I'm realizing that a lot of things, and you said you found people to vent to. So is that the reason why you say that is important for us to actually have a community of people so we can actually bounce ideas off of, and we can't have that "woe is me" moment because they've been going through the same thing too? Like,
exactly.
can you explain why you think it's so important for us to have a community of people that like us?
Well, I mean, it's just a lot easier to talking to people that understand what they're going through. I mean, it's people who can empathize with you, and also it's just nice to know that you're not going through anything alone. So I mean, it's really cool having people there that really understand what you're going through, and you can bounce your feelings off them or your ideas, and it goes both ways. Early
And now,
on. Oh,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead, go
Oh, I
ahead.
was just gonna say, for me, it was Facebook because, like, you just connect with people easily through social media. But at the same time, these same people that you went through, sometimes, at least in the cancer world, uh, they do have reoccurrences or or I guess progressions of their disease, and occasionally you'll lose a few close friends, and that's why I had to take a break from cancer and brain tumor advocacy, because there was a span of, like, I think 2 months where I lost like three close friends, so I kind of had to step away from a little bit from social media for a while.
The ugly underbelly of advocacy. And that's the same issue I have too.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, many people I have interviewed that are no longer with us, or people will come to me and say, "Oh, my brother just had a stroke, my sister had a stroke, my mother had a stroke. What advice do you have for me?" And it's very difficult
Yeah.
for me to be in that position. Like, I don't have it. I'm not like you, I have a medical background. I have none of these stuff. I just know how to speak to people. And when this happens to me, I don't know how to handle it. I don't have an outlet for that. Even going back into my community, like, hey, so such and such died. What should I do? They don't have a clue how to deal with that either. So you said you jumped out of it for a while and you came back.
Yeah.
What did you do to decompress, to put yourself in a better place to come back and do this advocacy full force?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I like to keep myself busy. Now, I'm a big sports fan, so, like, I kind of lost myself in and just being a fan, like, and just enjoying a close game, or just getting away from it all. And I found that helped a lot. I used to blog. Uh, I used to write down my thoughts a lot, and I like I said, I've kind of gotten away from that, but I definitely found that yeah, because, like, I definitely found that releasing those emotions somehow is definitely very helpful. And early on, it was the blogging, just putting things down on paper and then rereading them helped me personally to deal with all the things that I was going through at the time.
Yeah, I get it, brother. I get it. We've been talking for quite a while, and you always say to me, Greg, I think our paths are pretty much similar, with brain tumors and stroke survivors. I think we have a lot in common. I'm like, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't see why not. It wouldn't have. But when I'm talking to you now, I'm seeing that there's a lot of similarities,
Yeah.
even outside of just being the condition that we have, just the emotional toll that it puts on us. You said you're a sports fan and you dive into sports and you say you're a nerd. You also say you do a lot of or you used to blog and all that. What else do you do to, I guess, find that even kill that nice, comfortable tranquility place?
Well, yeah, I think I mentioned earlier, like I definitely, like movies, and I like keeping myself entertained. I mean, it's just good to get it. Like, honestly, I like going to the movies by myself because, like, I can get up and walk out if it's a bad movie. I don't have to worry about anyone else. But yeah, I think just losing yourself in something other than, you know, other than like the advocacy things. Like I think like watching movies or watching a sports game or whatnot, that's a good escape from everyday reality. Of course, I mean, of course, you're gonna have to come back to it, but it's good to get away for a few hours, just to lose yourself in just I don't want to say mindless, activities or whatnot, but just something you enjoy. I think it's good to step away for a while.
No, 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 no. I get it. I think a lot of us, when we do this type of work, being an advocate, we forget about ourselves and how to treat ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with doing what you say, mindless activities, because we just want to decompress and start over again. Like it's like our weekend. You go to the movies. Like I go to the movies out here in Panama all the time, and I'm looking subtitles, trying to learn Spanish. Like, that's the way I decompress. I'm trying to learn Spanish, and it gets me away from everything of being AVM superhero. Have you ever, and this blew me away when this actually happened to you, have you ever gone in public and somebody recognized you from what
Oh
you
yeah,
do on? Oh my God,
that's
that
so
threw me completely off. Somebody came to me and said, "Oh, you're the AVM superhero." I'm like,
weird.
"Oh, you actually follow me on Instagram? And that's cool." How does that feel to you? Do you? I think a lot of people think that we're conceited because we are doing these things and we found a purpose. To me, it's nothing like that. What is it for you to actually do this advocacy and people recognizing you doing this work?
Well, I mean, honestly, it was kind of weird at first, but it just comes with the territory. Like, I mean, with the AVMs or with the AVM superhero stuff, like I think it's something that definitely needs to be on the open. And I think that should happen. Like I know there are a lot of stroke survivor celebrities, and at the way back when, like I knew a lot of brain tumor and cancer celebrities as well. So I mean, I think it's just natural, but like I think we have to be ambassadors to the diagnosis. Like they gotta see us doing amazing things. They got to see us being positive advocates for everything.
Well said, brother. Positive advocates. I love that. One other thing, Eric, and please help me with this if you can. Um, I know you doing what you're doing with the disability gorillas, and you're trying to get people to understand that they are champions and warriors. But also, can you let them know that this is not about us? This is not about um, you trying to compare yourself to us. This is about you comparing yourself to your old self and becoming better than your old self and doing whatever you need to do to have a successful, joyful life. Am I right?
Oh,
Do you want to add to that?
yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, this is not about comparing different diagnoses and whatnot. It's just about empowering people and making them the best versions of themselves. Like, honestly, I think a lot of people who are dealing with stroke or dealing with cancer or a brain tumor, they definitely feel like they've lost something. But honestly, I see this as an opportunity to gain something and become stronger. You kind of it's kind of like the phoenix, just rising from your ashes. You become something better, something bigger, something stronger. And I think that a lot of people just have to realize that.
Well, hopefully after this episode they will, Eric. And I really appreciate you coming on the show today and showing us how you actually are surviving and actually doing this disability gorillas and being a what did you call it? It's not
Prior?
a what? A survivor? No, he said something about army military type of war something.
A gorilla or what? I'm trying to remember.
Warfare. There you go.
Guerrilla warfare. Yeah.
Guerrilla warfare. This is a guerrilla warfare. We're trying to become soldiers to win this battle for our lives, for our sanity. So thank you so much for sharing your your thoughts and your nonprofit organization with us. But at this time, Eric, we have what's called a hot seat questions. Here I will ask you 4 questions, and I want you to give me a 30-second response. It don't have to be 30 seconds, but I don't want it to be long because I want to make reels out of it. And when you're done with each question, just say AVM superhero, I'm ready for my next question.
Okay.
And at the end of this, the 4th question, I'm going to give you the question. And after that, you will close out the show. I will not come back to the show. You to close out and say good night to everybody and move on from there. So are you ready for your hot seat question, sir?
Definitely.
All right, let's get started with it. Hot seat question number 1 is on the screen. What is the biggest misconception about your diagnosis day?
What do you mean by misconception? Like
Misconception? What's the misconception about because for me, when I heard tumor, I automatically think it's cancer. So what are the major misconceptions that people have about your diagnosis that we have today?
well, that's the thing. I think with a diagnosis of a brain tumor or cancer, they think it's a death sentence. And I don't think. I think we need to change that narrative. That you there are still a lot of things that a person that was diagnosed with a brain tumor or cancer can still do. Like you just got to figure out exactly how you're going to do it, and that's why the advocates that are in brain tumors are great. Like I don't know if I answered that right.
You did answer, but you didn't say AVM superhero. You ready for your next question?
Right. AVM superhero. Next question, please.
No problem. Question number 2. What uncomfortable truth did your tumor teach you?
Well, that's the thing. Like, my previous professional career was in physical therapy, and like the thing that was very eye opening to me was that when a patient with a disability or some sort of impairment goes home from a session, those impairments and disabilities follow them home. They're still living with that impairment 24/7. So, like, I think as a healthcare professional, I needed to understand that because, like, as a PT, you see a patient for like maybe an hour, if that, or 2 1-hour sessions a day. But like, when patients do end their sessions, they got to live with those impairments, 24/7, not just during the day. Next question, please. AVM superhero. I don't think I got that right.
You got it, sir. You got it. I'm with you. So question number 3 goes as follows. What hard reality does medical advocacy usually glaze over? I think you just answered that one too, but I'll let you go into that a little bit more.
Okay, well, yeah, I think just again, yeah, like as a former physical therapist, like, I think that they have to understand that they're treating an individual, you know, and they have to live with their impairments 24/7. But medical advocacy definitely, needs to take into account the person over the diagnosis, and that's all I have to say about that. So, the next question, please, AVM Rivera.
All right. Like I said, Eric, this is the final question. So after this, please call up the show. And everybody out there, I thank you so much bottom of my heart for watching the show, and having Eric as our guest is a very big privilege of ours. We're learning more about different disabilities and how we all have the same struggles and that we have to come together to become better in lives. Do not, do not neglect yourselves or other people that's trying to become better after their ailments has kicked in. So, Eric, are you ready for your fourth question?
Sure,
Let's do it.
bring it on.
All right.
What
What
you
used to terrify you that you now find laughable?
Okay. Okay. This is kind of immature, but like, when I was going through my brain surgery, the thing that scared me the most was I don't know, like, do you know what a Foley catheter is? Like, it's basically, they stick a catheter into your into your penis to like help with the urine extraction. So like, that was the thing that scared me the most about brain tumor surgery. Maybe it's just a way to like, you know, take my mind off that they were going to be opening my head and operating on my brain. But yeah, that was the thing that I did tend to focus on to kind of get my mind off the severity of the situation. So like, I think that that was my way of dealing with things. But now I just find that hilarious because like I was more worried about the catheter than the actual brain surgery. So that was kind of funny, and I think that's all I have to say about that. So yeah, thanks ABM superhero, and I'm guessing I need to make a closing remark here. But yeah, I really think that do yeah going through like a big neurological challenge like AVM, like a stroke, a brain tumor or whatnot, that yeah, you can't really control the situation, but you can control um how you react to it. And what I found is that like if you're very positive and very you know attack in attack mode, the people around you will also take that same attitude. Like I feel like people will follow your lead. If you're scared, they'll be scared. But if you have that attacking, fighting attitude, the people around you will also have that same attitude. They'll grow off your response to everything. They'll respond very similarly. So I think that that was very helpful for my family when I was going through everything. I mean, of course, I was scared, but I definitely wanted to keep uh, a strong appearance for everyone because I knew that was the way that they were also going to respond to everything that I was going through. So I think that's all I really want to say, and I think that's about it.